Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of r/entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. I won the lottery. Now my mom demands I share my heavenly blessings with my family. After that, am I the jerk for bringing my sister-in-law's wallet to the restaurant when she conveniently always forgets it? And after that, who's going to pay for your daughter's summer camp? We do, with pleasure. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to take anyone's lotto winnings. Don't be silly, Reddit boy. You know you never win at anything. So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. I won the lottery. Now my mom demands I share my heavenly blessings with my family. I, 23 female, live at home. I finished high school, but I didn't have the marks or the money to go to college. I'm smart. I just spent a lot of my free time helping around the house with my 3 younger siblings. I got a job at the convenience store by my house full-time, and I work with my mom at the local dollar store. I give most of my paycheck to my parents to help with the rent and food. I keep $50 a week to spend on myself, and I save $100 a month for my future. I also buy scratchers. Not a crazy amount. I don't drink or smoke. I don't really have any bad habits, I guess, but I do buy a scratcher every blue moon. My mom says they are a tax on the stupid and against God's word because it's gambling. My dad says if I have money to spend on them, I should be contributing more to the house. My brother is 20 and he has a job, but he doesn't have to contribute because he has a girlfriend and he's saving to pay for their wedding and trailer. I honestly like living at home and seeing my little sister and brother every day. Anyways, I won. Not Powerball money or anything. It's a lottery where you get a certain amount of money every week for 20 years. It's more money every week than I take home in 2 months. I know people who won sometimes lose it all, but I took my time and did some studying at the library. I went to my bank and they helped me get a lawyer, an accountant, and they have set me up with a financial planner. I was going to keep working and giving my parents the money like I always do, and I like working. But my mom found out I had money for some special treats for my little brother and sister. Nothing big, just a Switch and some games. She thought I was wasting my savings and that if I had extra, she could use it better. I don't know why, but I told her that I won the money, and now she wants it. It's heavenly bounty, and I should give a tithe and offering to the church. I go to church, but I don't think I believe anymore. I haven't for a while. I told her no, and she said I had to move out then, so I did. I went to a hotel. My bank put me in contact with a real estate agent, and I'm buying an apartment. Just 1 room, but it's nicer than my house. I'm not working right now because she told everyone. Now everyone is asking for money. But I don't want to give people I barely know money. I've set up an education account for my younger brother and sister, and I set aside $5,000 for my savings to give my other brother when he gets married. But my mom is saying she wants to retire and that I'm being selfish. I don't think I am. Am I the jerk? A tax on the stupid. Against God's word. Give me that. I want to retire. What you've done for your siblings is perfect. Moving out is perfect. Take care of the things you need and want to care about. Your mother's hypocrisy is not your problem or responsibility. Not the jerk. Be careful with the bank, financial planners, and accountants. Trust no one with your money. Double check all the information, accounts, and books. Stick to your plans. You do not owe anyone anything. Create the trusts for your sibling and have a lawyer make it ironclad your mom cannot get it at all. You will be asked for money to fund business ideas and everything else you can think of for your money. Save all you can, because soon people may start the lawsuits for every little thing which costs money to defend unless you settle out of court, which is what they want. A good lawyer can make them have to pay court costs, saving you a lot of money. Just keep your head up, and you do not need to donate to anything that you don't feel like. It's your money, not your mom's or anyone else's. If you start getting guilted into giving people money, cut them out and move on. Well, what would you do in this situation? Would you give your mom the money she wants or not? Please let us know. Rule number 1 of having lots of money. Never tell anyone you have lots of money. It's always wiser to blend in with those around you than to stick out like a sore thumb and set yourself up to be targeted. Karen and I just might hit a lick on you. Skirt, skirt. Am I the jerk for bringing my sister-in-law's wallet to the restaurant when she conveniently always forgets it? I'm 28, female. My sister-in-law, Amy, who's 26, always comes to visit from out of town. She stays with us instead of a hotel and always wants to go to expensive restaurants. She always conveniently forgets her wallet or comes up with some excuses as to why she can't pay her share. She has implied that since I make much more money than her, I should be the one to pay. No, not my husband should pay, but me specifically. I do make a fair amount of money, but not so much that I can treat someone every time they come into town. Nonetheless, in the past, I've just paid the bill and asked her to pay me back. She never has. She had made a reservation at an extremely expensive restaurant last night, and before we left, I made it clear that I wouldn't be paying her bill. This is where I might be the jerk, and I'll admit I got this move straight from an episode of 2.5 Men. As we were leaving, her and my husband went to the car. I pretended I forgot something and went back inside. I found her wallet sitting right on top of her suitcase. I put it in my purse and we went to the restaurant. When we were done eating, I asked for separate bills. She said, no, we need one bill because she forgot her wallet again. I reached in my purse and said, this wallet? She was extremely furious. She said that I should not have touched or grabbed her wallet. So, am I the jerk for taking her wallet and bringing it to the restaurant? Edit. Amy just called me. She saw this post and she yelled at me for bad-mouthing her on the internet. Honestly, I don't care. Amy, hopefully reading all these comments is a wake-up call for you. Some answers to common questions. Why does my husband keep letting Amy come over? Without getting into too much detail, he has always been expected to pay for nice things for the women in his family. He's also kind of been scammed out of large sums of money by his family. That's slowly been shut down over time, but we're working on shutting down these dinner and outing things too. He allows this because he feels bad that they don't have a lot of money. It's sad, but that's how his family got along for a very long time, being dishonest about anything and everything to get their hands on some extra money and extra financial help. I could write a book on some of the things I've seen them do over the years. It hasn't been easy to show these people how wrong this is. He has talked to Amy about being cheap, has had come-to-Jesus talks with her, and genuinely has always felt that each next time would be different. We've been in therapy addressing this, and he's learned to set boundaries. This restaurant thing is a boundary that he hadn't set yet. It's hard to set all boundaries all at once when you actually had no clue what boundaries were and have had no boundaries for years. Does he pay too? We're married. My money is his money. When I mentioned Amy specifies I should pay, I meant more that she specifies since I make good money, we as a whole shouldn't be cheap. What was the point if you ended up paying? I knew Amy wasn't going to pay. She always finds a way not to pay. I went to the restaurant fully expecting to pay the bill. I did this because I saw it on a show and I thought it would be funny to do in real life, to be completely honest. The point wasn't really to get her to pay, it was more to show her that the forgot my wallet excuse was getting old. Is Amy banned from visiting? Fortunately, this post turned out to be a good thing. My husband has always had it in his head that Amy is a good person and has her reasons for being sneaky and cheap, like I mentioned above. In his head, it's not her fault that she is the way she is. It's the circumstances of their upbringing that cause her to make bad decisions. But seeing Amy's reply to my post and people's responses to Amy has really changed his thinking. That's the first time Amy has outright admitted that she's purposely taking advantage. Reading some of the other comments has also been eye-opening for him. So husband told Amy that she's not welcome here, at least not for a long while. Judgment. Thanks for lots of not the jerks, but I liked one commenter's, sometimes it's okay to be the jerk. I think that's exactly what it was here. It was a jerk move, but also outweighed by Amy's being a jerk. Thanks again, this is the end of this. I won't be giving any more updates or comments. Not the jerk, but you totally should have flipped the switch. Left your wallet at home, only brought your license, so she had to cover the whole bill, then never take her out to a restaurant again. Not the jerk. That was a boss move. But if you want to keep it up without getting accused of touching her things, when you're in the car, don't let your husband start driving until she shows you that she has her wallet on her. You told her right up front, I'm not paying this time, and she tried to push you into it. Honestly, I don't know why you keep going out with her. Cancel, or insist your husband pays. Like, what does he say about all of this? Because he needs to have a chat with his sister about how she's taking advantage of your generosity. Next time she stays and says there's a reservation, oh, hey, I hope you guys have a nice time. Yeah, I'm not going. I'm getting tired of you continuously trying to do me over. ETA. In regards to OP's edit, Amy, your sister-in-law couldn't badmouth you if you didn't give her plenty of ammo. You're saying she's badmouthing you? She's just telling people what you did. If you feel some kind of way about it, that means you're aware that you done messed up. Stop being mad at other people for reacting to your bad behavior. Change your bad behavior. Grow as a person. Usually, I'm against people touching other people's property, but in this case, well done. Be aware that next time she will be hiding her wallet, but maybe just refuse to go out to dinner if she doesn't bring her wallet or card. Let her know if she doesn't pay, she will not be going out with you and your husband, and make it clear that your hospitality is a courtesy, not an obligation. She's very welcome to stay in a hotel next time if she doesn't abide by the rules and respects you. Your husband's family might start harassing you after you establish the rules, so it might be worth having a dialogue with your husband and having him be the bad cop. If the family complains, tell them that they are welcome to pay your sister-in-law's expenses, including past dinners if you have the receipts or bank statements. I got here late, and everyone is saying, "You rock, what a power move, awesome idea, etc." This is one of those votes that leaves me hanging my head in despair. You went into someone's deeply personal property. This is absolutely the wrong thing to do. Two wrongs don't make a right. Is there any situation that you would be okay with someone not in your immediate family taking your wallet out with them and then spending your money on something? I will concede that the ongoing behavior of Amy is egregiously awful, but not sure this isn't worse. The only saving grace in my eyes is that more appropriate responses might have been triggering or challenging for your husband to deal with. Everyone sucks here. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or Amy? Please let us know. Oh, I can't stand freeloaders. You know what else I can't stand, Reddit boy? People who watch our videos but don't even click the thumbs up. Whoa, easy there, Karen. It takes a fair amount of effort to, tap that button with your thumb. Who's going to pay for your daughter's summer camp? We do, with pleasure. I was a Girl Guides leader for ages 10 through 13, and it was time for the kids to tell us if they would be going on the annual summer camp or not. We needed that info to plan ahead. So one of our weekly meetings, I asked around who would go and who would definitely not. Cora, one of our older ones, told me that nope, she wouldn't go with us. Cora was a determined guide, came to every event, so I was surprised and asked her why. She explained to me that her parents were divorcing and both parents stated that they would not pay and the other one should pay. What I knew, every Scouts group here has a fund for the kids whose parents might not be able to pay for summer camp, etc. The kids I was looking after usually had rich parents. Cora's parents were a lawyer and a doctor. The money was not an issue. Pride was. I decided to take them up on that pride. So I went to the chief of the group and told her what was happening. Cora wanted to go to summer camp. Her parents were fighting about payment. Did we have the funds to finance that trip for her in principle? And I did get the go. So I first called the mother and told her that Cora told me about the situation and that I perfectly understood the conflict. However, Cora was a girl guide to the bones. She wanted to go on the camp, and we, the group, would make that possible if they allowed. That we had those funds for the financially challenged ones, that I had asked the responsible person, and that no matter what, the money for her to go to that camp was there. That I knew finances were not the issue, but that Cora deserved those 2 weeks, and until this conflict was solved, that we didn't care of her background, we'd front that money. We just wanted her to be able to participate because she was a good guide and that we didn't want to take that experience from her. Good news, yay. I hung up, dialed her dad's number, and told him the same. At the next week's meeting, I told Cora the good news, that no matter what, she could join us. She told me that this wasn't an issue anymore. She had come for sure. Now her parents were fighting over who would be the first one to pay. I pay. No, I pay. Those 2 words, financially challenged, were the key words that hurt them. I'm not a manipulative person. I could, but I have a strong dislike of it. However, if you tell me that nobody's going to pay for your daughter's summer camp, I'll gladly comply. Gates are open, please come in. Am I the jerk for wanting my parents in town, but not at my house while I'm adjusting to life with a newborn? I, 24 female, am currently pregnant, due in December. I live with my fiance, Dan, in the town where I grew up. I have a great relationship with my parents, but they had me quite late in life and they're both retired now, living in a beach town in the south. When they moved out, they sold me the house I grew up in well below market value in exchange for me hosting them when they needed or wanted to come into town. It's been like that for 2 years. They've been here a bunch of times for 3 to 4 days at a time, and it's been a good arrangement, I think. Now, yesterday I was talking to my mom about the birth, and I brought up that I would like for her to be in town when I give birth and to stay for a few weeks after. Dan has no relationship with his family, and I'm an only child, with only a couple of very elderly aunts and a few cousins I don't have much of a relationship with. so we don't really have much in terms of a support system. Therefore, I'd love for my parents to come here and help around the house with the baby, offer me the emotional support I know I'm going to need, etc. My mom was excited that I was asking her to do this and said that she'd be okay with staying with us for a few weeks while we adjusted to the baby. I then told her that I didn't mean her staying with us, just in town, as I believe Dan and I are going to need and want alone time to adjust to the baby. My mom was a little offended, saying that she wasn't going to bother us and she was going to help out. But I told her it was nothing personal. I just preferred if she got a hotel or Airbnb or something. My father then intervened, having been somewhere within the earshot, and said that accommodation was going to be really expensive around that time of the year. Our town has a very famous big Christmas market, and he wasn't about to spend thousands of dollars when I was asking them to come, and it had been our arrangement when they sold me the house that they could stay whenever they wanted. Which, like, fair, but I don't think that having a newborn at home is just a regular time in someone's life, and it's not like I ever complained about them coming over before. I just don't want them in the house, but I do want to have them in town, and I feel a little sad that they are putting money above me and their grandson. My mother hung up the call, trying to appease the situation, but then sent me a text saying that her and my dad were a little upset over the whole thing and that they thought I was being unreasonable. When Dan got home, I told him all of this, and he kind of sided with them, saying that they should be allowed to stay with us, but I still don't think it makes sense, as we're going to be needing our alone time. Was I the jerk here? Yup, you're the jerk. You asked them to come. It's not like it was them imposing on you right after you gave birth. You knew before you asked that the arrangement you have with them is that they stay in your home. It's a lot to ask that they come and spend thousands on lodging so they can come help you clean your house and care for your baby. The baby isn't born yet. You have time. Figure out a way that you and your husband can have alone time while still hosting your parents. They sound like good people. Just explain it to them. I would guess husband will be at work at some point over those weeks, so ask them if they would be okay making themselves scarce a few evenings a week so that you, your husband, and baby can have time together. They can go out to dinner together or just retreat to their room after dinner, assuming you have a guest room for them. You're the jerk. Either let them stay at your house or you pay for their hotel, Airbnb, or whatever yourself, or don't expect them to visit. They're doing you a favor. A second favor, since they already sold you their house at well below market value in exchange for you letting them stay there when they visit. I'm not saying you're a jerk for not wanting house guests when you have a new baby. I just think that you can't demand that they visit for an extended period to help you, but insist that they pay their own way. You're the jerk. Look, I'm all for not hosting people right after having a baby. That's totally reasonable. What is unreasonable is to expect your parents to come into town for a month, do chores for you, and foot the bill for a hotel. That's not a visit, it's a maid service. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her parents? Please let us know. I can't fathom how anyone would expect their parents to spend thousands of dollars on lodging to come visit them for a month. This is crazy. I just can't. My coworker took a long break and said she didn't care if I did the same. So I did. Many years ago, I worked at a gas station. It wasn't a big fancy gas station. No, it was a satellite of a grocery store. Nothing more than a tiny kiosk next to a dozen pumps. I have a lot of stories about that place, but only one is really appropriate for this sub. My coworkers ranged from cool to worthless. This story is about one of the worthless ones. Let's call her Sandy. Sandy was fairly new to our kiosk, but not to the job, having transferred over from another gas station in the company. Right out of the gate, this was a problem. She had her way of doing things and we had ours. Naturally, Sandy expected all of her new coworkers to change to suit her, not the other way around. One day it was me and Sandy on the afternoon shift. There were only ever 2 employees, only enough space for 2 people in that shack of a gas station, so we covered each other's breaks. Normally, because I'm a team player, I would take my breaks in the little office in the back. If my coworkers needed me, all they had to do was yell. But on that particular Friday, Sandy and I had a problem. She decided to take both of her breaks at once. It wasn't uncommon for us to take a 45-minute break instead of a half and a 15, but it was something we had to clear with our coworkers before doing. It was also against company policy, but we didn't really care about that. An hour before rush hour, the busiest time of the day with the largest concentration of bad customers, she wanted to take her break. That's fine. Nothing wrong. I told her I would take my half hour after hers, then we had both run tills for the rush. Half an hour came and went. She didn't come back. Another half hour during which I should have been on break. Still not back. Another 15 minutes. She comes in and gets on till. No apologies for taking a long break unannounced or for coming back late from that long break. When I mentioned it, she replied, "I don't know why you're getting so upset. All you ever do is sit in the back, and I wouldn't get upset with you if you took a long break." So I told her, "I'll hold you to that." Then I walked out. I bought a paper, went down the street to Edo, sat down with a big bowl of noodles and veggies, and took my sweet time. All the 9-to-5ers on their way home from work were her problem. Exactly 45 minutes after I left, I made darn sure it was to the minute. I walked back into the kiosk. Sandy was not behind the till. My manager was. Apparently, Sandy couldn't handle the situation and started crying. I don't know if it was just me walking out, the workload, or any particular customer that got to her. My manager was called, drove into town, and took over until I came back. Let's call her Tam. Tam wasn't angry with me. Not anymore, at least. She was pretty upset when she showed up to relieve Sandy. Poor girl had to be sent home. But she had found a brief window in which to check the security cameras. It turns out, Sandy told her that she had taken her half-hour break earlier. Then I didn't bother taking mine until the rush because I didn't want to work. Tam decided to check that on the cameras, and by the time I came back, she already knew Sandy was lying to her. I didn't have to say a darn thing in my own defense. Sandy was punished for the long break and the lying, but was not fired. However, on the rare occasion we were scheduled together afterwards, she took her breaks when and for how long I told her to. Good times. Am I the jerk for telling my mom I won't talk to my half-siblings until they can apologize? I, 19, female, lost my dad when I was 6. My mom and him didn't have the best marriage, so she was dating again 6 months after he passed and met her current husband 11 months after his passing. She introduced him to me right away, and she did ask me how I felt and wanted to know how I was doing, but nothing I said really made a difference to the pace of their relationship. They started having babies right away and have 6 kids together, ranging from the age of 11 down to 4. The biggest problem here is with the 11, the 10, and the 9-year-olds. They're kids, so again, I could be a huge jerk, but here goes. Around 3 years ago, the 3 half-siblings I mentioned started telling me to call their dad, Dad. That's what it started with. He's not Jim, he's Dad, that kind of thing. I explained to them that he was their dad, but not my dad, and I showed them photos of my dad. After a while of that, they told me it was mean to not let him be my dad though, since he was the best one and he wanted to be my dad too. I told them that didn't change who my dad was. I asked them how they would feel if he had passed and Mom brought home a new dad. They told me that wouldn't happen and that was wrong or different and all kinds of stuff. I had brought it up to Mom and to their dad. Mom told me she talked to them a few times, but they continued coming to me. When we had a virtual graduation party for me last year, my then 10-year-old half-sister, now the 11-year-old, corrected me in front of everyone for saying how I was sad Dad had missed this part of my life. She told me that he didn't miss it, he was right here. My mom tried to shush her, but she shut me down a second time. Other stuff has happened in between, and then 2 months ago, I was briefly home for a week, and during that time, they were going crazy on the correcting me. Even had the younger ones copying them. And then they told me that they were glad that he's gone, and that he wasn't important and he was dumb. I was dumb for missing him and not adopting their dad. Some of what they said felt very mature, and like something someone else had said. But then they just kept repeating over and over that they were glad my dad was gone, and it made them happy. I used to call home to talk to them a few times a month, and now I haven't, and my mom called to get me to. But I told her I won't talk to them until I get a real apology and until their behavior changes. She told me I need to be an understanding adult about this. I told her no. I told her the fastest way for me to never have anything to do with them again is to hear over a long period of time that they're glad my dad is gone and that he doesn't matter. She told me even then it would be extreme. I told her I don't love them more than my dad, and hearing them talk like that about him would fracture our relationship beyond repair. I told her 3 years of dealing with this stuff for it to get worse is too much. She and her husband called me out for being wrong about this, so I'm here to ask, am I the jerk? ETA. Jim has, over the course of the time that I've known him, tried to get me to call him Dad. He pushed it a few times over the years, but would bring it up regularly. but I never wanted to. He will never be my father. I don't ever see the day where I love him either. I've had issues with him because of how often he brought it up and the pushing, but there's no fixing that now. Not the jerk, but your mom and Jeff sure are for not nipping this in the bud when it started. Saying they're just kids only means they'll grow up thinking this kind of harassing is okay. Likely because at least Jim is behind this, and either the mother knows and has done nothing or she's behind it as well. The kids don't come to this conclusion on their own. While kids are a lot more switched on than we often give them credit for, this is straight up manipulation from a parent. Given her mother is trying to get OP to be a doormat under the guise of being the adult, she's trying to manipulate OP so the mother can go back to getting what she wants and ignoring OP's emotional needs. All frankly points to the mother being as guilty as Jeff. Air Force commander makes a dumb policy. We all follow it to the letter out of spite. While I was in the Air Force, we had a commander that was all about looking great to the public and nothing else. He didn't care for morale, personal time, or his troops in any way, shape, or form. In fact, he became our commander as a punishment when he was caught hooking up with a deployed enlisted member's wife. He came from a family of a few 2- and 3-star generals, and because he got in trouble, he was forced to command our bad squadron with a forced retirement at lieutenant colonel after 2 years. So basically, he couldn't stand us, and we couldn't stand him the moment we saw each other. We knew how he got in trouble before he got to us, and we didn't take too kindly to it. For context, I was security forces, police, and part of our job is manning the gates and checking IDs for people coming in. There was always a morning rush from everyone coming into work at the same time that would cause traffic to back up. We would do things to try to get the cars moving faster, but no matter what we did, it was always a problem. And of course, it was always the new airman's fault that everyone starts work at the same time, so the gate guards always got yelled at a lot. Well, our fearless commander thought it would be a great idea if we said a prepared speech to everyone when they came in to show how disciplined we are. The speech went as follows. Hello, driver's rank and name. Welcome to installation name, home of the aircraft the installation was known for, and the home of our squadron name. Your ID will expire on this date. Your vehicle's registration will expire on this date. I authorize you to enter installation. Have a great Air Force Day. Obviously, everyone besides the leadership knew this was the dumbest thing ever, but the commander said we have to do it, so we have to do it. The young airmen were complaining about it when we all got on the same page at the same time. We decided that we were going to say the whole speech as slowly and clearly as possible to make sure everyone heard us, and we would do this to every single car with no exception. If the car had a passenger, we would repeat the speech with their information after doing it to the driver. If there was another passenger in the back, we would repeat it again. When our own chain of command would drive through, they would try to stop us from saying it, but we would keep their ID until we were done. Morning traffic went from being 2 hours long to 4 hours because of how long it took to get in and created a lunch rush that never existed before. Many times we were yelled at about how long it took. We were making everyone late to work and how much they couldn't stand that speech. So we would tell them this is per our commander's request and his office phone number is public if you would like to talk to him about it. The traffic got so backed up, the local police had to direct traffic outside the base as the line of cars grew to 1 mile or 2 long. This lasted 3 days before the chief of police for the local city and our base commander let our commander know how they really felt about it. When we were told we no longer had to do it, our shift supervisor told us he had never been so proud of us. Having the second highest ranking person on that base tell me to my face, "That speech was so dumb. Never say that again," as he drove off is the highlight of my Air Force career. Am I the jerk for setting an 11 p.m. curfew on my husband? I know, he's a grown man, but let me explain. We have a 4-month-old together, and not once has he helped out beyond changing a diaper maybe once a week. I do all of the cooking, cleaning, and 99% of the baby care has been on me. I've asked him to take an overnight shift before, but he snapped back at me saying, "I work, so I need my sleep so I can put food on the table for you." To be honest, that stung, but I dropped it after that. Anyway, weekdays he works all day and he's so exhausted when he comes home, he only wants to hang out or play games with his brothers and drink beer. I tell him I appreciate him working so I can take care of our son and go to school. I cook, I clean, and I do his laundry so he can just rest. Weekends he doesn't work, so I feel like he can help out a little more. On top of being a full-time mom, I'm also finishing up my final semester in college. So on weekends, he had agreed to watch the baby for at least an hour so I can submit assignments on time, which is usually the Sunday at 11:59 kind of deal. Or let me take a shower, since the kid is glued to my hip the rest of the day. Hence the 11 p.m. curfew. So I have an hour to do my timed exams, which is just enough time for me to complete. He has yet to respect the agreed upon time for him to come home, so not only can I shower and get schoolwork done, we can spend quality time as husband and wife since he's busy all week and goes out every weekend. When he told his brothers and coworkers about his curfew, I was immediately labeled as a controlling, nagging jerk wife, and it hurt. I don't argue with him, and my requests are asked in a calm and collected manner. I have an exam due on Sunday. Can you make some time to help me so I can knock it out? I guess if you're not there, it's easy to assume. Despite that, he won't come home on weekends until 1 or 2 a.m., ignoring my text when I remind him of my timed exams and homework. Then he snaps at me because I don't let him reward himself for working all week. I'm really hurt at the name calling. I pride myself in being laid back, flexible, and understanding. Am I the jerk here? Should I just forget about the curfew? Edit, just so I'm not repeating myself. English is not my first language. I didn't realize until now that the word curfew has a negative meaning behind it. I didn't mean to belittle him. That's on me. Also, thanks for all of the support. I didn't expect that. I'm definitely looking around into finding a good counselor for us. I've already called our insurance and got a list of names. We had a solid marriage before the baby. If we can work it out, I'd like to do that. Until then, I'm looking into a local mom group to get some support until I finish college, or the counseling works and my husband steps up. Update. So many of you have been so supportive of me and I can't thank you enough for it. Even though you're strangers on Reddit, it means a lot to me to be cheered on to continue my education and caring for my son. For info, my husband wasn't always like this. 8 years together and he always helped me somehow. Chores, encouraging me to change my degree at the age of 24 because I was just miserable, supporting me when my best friend backstabbed me, staying up all night and taking 8 days off work when I miscarried for our first so that he could take care of me. You guys helped me realize these red flags and the courage to realize I need to put my foot down. Being laid back isn't going to save our marriage. Support our channel by joining as a member today and we'll give you a shout out in our next video. Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.